Hi, I'm Rich Torrey. Welcome to another Level Up Cartooning. All you ever need to follow along with me is a pencil and paper. It doesn't get any easier than that, right? If you were with me on Wednesday, then you know this week we're wrapping up our month-long deep dive into some of the classic villains of both TV and film animation, with a couple of the Looney Tunes legends. We started with the ever-anxious and often angry Elmer Fudd, and we're going to end today with one of my all-time favorites, Yosemite Sam. Yosemite Sam is often even angrier than Elmer. Belligerent, with a hair trigger, he's described himself in this way.
The roughest, toughest He-Man, stuffest hombre has ever crossed the Rio Grande. And I ain't no mamby-pamby.
Like Elmer Fudd, Yosemite Sam is one of Bugs Bunny's biggest adversaries. But unlike Elmer, Sam shows little or no respect for the law, playing a more traditional style villain. That said, Yosemite Sam, like Elmer Fudd, usually ends up on the losing side in the end. Before we get started, make sure you hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button as it helps this channel to grow, and hit the bell so you never miss a lesson. Okay? So let's draw the hootinest, tootinest, shootinest, bobtail wildcat in the West, Yosemite Sam. We're going to draw Yosemite Sam step by step, giving you the secret formula to be able to draw him again and again. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know I normally use the character's head to figure out how big the entire character is. Yosemite Sam is a very unique character in that you really never see his face, or all of his face, and you certainly don't ever see his head, unless one of his sticks of dynamite or his cannons accidentally blow up in his face. What we see is from the top of his bushy eyebrows to his chin. Because of that, I'm going to define his face and head starting with a circle, and using that circle, Yosemite Sam, like Elmer Fudd, is roughly 2.5 heads tall. In other words, however tall his head is, his entire character is roughly 2.5 of those. Again, we're not counting his big cowboy hat. Okay, so let's start with a roadmap for the bloodthirstiest, shoot 'em firstiest, doggone worstiest buccaneer that ever sailed the Spanish Main, Yosemite Sam. So there's our roadmap for Yosemite Sam. Now we're on to step 2. In this step, we do what I call roughing out the features. I want to remind you that until the third and final step, you want to draw as light as possible. You'll see that I use guidelines to help you to know where to put Yosemite's eyes, nose, mouth, and some of the other things. We don't want those guidelines in the final drawing, so you want to draw them light enough to be able to erase them easily. Okay, so let's rough out the features for Yosemite Sam. Alright, so there are the roughed out features of Yosemite Sam. So now with the roadmap done and the features roughed out, it's time for the final step. In step 3, we get to have fun. We get to draw in the final details of Yosemite Sam. We don't have to guess where to put things because we've already done all the hard work figuring that out. In this step, it's okay to draw darker, but don't press too hard or mindlessly retrace over the lines you've already drawn. Always draw with an eye on tweaking and improving until the very end. So let's draw in the details for Yosemite Sam. Alrighty, there he is, the roughest, toughest hombre that ever locked horns with a rabbit, Looney Tunes legend, Yosemite Sam. So how do you think you did? Understand, if you've never drawn Yosemite Sam before, you can't expect to have drawn him perfectly. You notice I don't spend time coloring Sam during this video because I want my lesson to focus solely on the drawing process. Now you have the secret formula, the process for drawing Yosemite Sam. And with that, you can draw him again and again. And by all means, color him when you're done. I promise each time you draw him, it'll be a little better and a little easier. I also promise the more you work with me, the better you're going to get at all of your cartoon characters. For those of you who want to go a little deeper, click on the link below for my free 4-part drawing series where I spend more time explaining the details and the thinking behind each step in what I call the level up cartooning process. So I'd love to see your drawing of Yosemite Sam. If you can, take a picture and post it on either Facebook or Instagram. And don't forget to include the hashtag levelupcartooning. And as we've been drawing these classic villains, I've been encouraging you to come up with your own cartoon villain. Whether it's a version of one of the many villains that we've drawn or a combination of several of them, use your imagination. Make sure you name it and post it with the hashtag levelupcartooning. I hope you've had fun drawing some of these cartoon villains. I'm thinking next week we may start drawing some of the classic cartoon heroes from TV and film animation. Tune in and see. As always, remember to subscribe and thanks for joining me. Until next time, keep drawing, my friends.